said that someone came up to him who had been working on the deconstruction of O.J. Simpson's former Rockingham estate and handed him a knife. Of course, with all things O.J. Simpson, the police department viewing this with a healthy bit of skepticism, because at times this sounds like Inception meets soap dish. Among other things, they're going to look at this murder weapon, potential murder weapon, and test it for blood. They're going to test it for DNA or anything else that could link this to the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, Jim.
Paul Verkaman, thank you. Had the police discovered this knife 20 years ago, could it have made a difference in the verdict? I'm going to bring in now Alan Dershowitz. He was a member of O.J. Simpson's defense team then. Alan Dershowitz, thanks very much for joining us. So you heard our reporter there in Los Angeles talk about this. I just want to ask you the potential significance of this, including the very basic question, could there still be DNA evidence on a knife that presumably was buried, and we're talking about 2 decades ago?
Well, there are two kinds of evidence that could have relevance. One, if there's any blood or any other kind of item that would have DNA, unlikely. The other, it could be a knife that has the kind of sequencing that was consistent with the wounds, and so that, of course, would last. Now, you have to remember, the LAPD did a terrible job in 1995. You know, there was actually a knife that O.J. had in a bureau in his bedroom behind a mirror, and although they purported to search the house very carefully, they never looked behind the mirror. The defense team found the knife, handed it over to the court. It bore no relationship to the case, but it just illustrates what a bad job the LAPD did. If there was a knife there, they should have found it 20 years ago. Now, there are always two verdicts in history. One, the verdict of the court, and second, the verdict of facts. And history has its claims. The verdict of the court can't be reversed. We have a double jeopardy clause, so he can't be retried for murder in California. But history has its claims, too, and if it turns out this is a relevant piece of evidence, the public has the right to know it and change their views on the case if the evidence warrants that.
Alan, let me ask you this question. First, you know this. I just want to caution our viewers as well. We don't know the significance of this knife yet, if it indeed has any tie to this case. But just as we go down this possibility here, I have spoken to defense lawyers and prosecutors who've said there is a possibility to get around double jeopardy. For instance, if you came back with a different charge, conspiracy to murder, perhaps burglary, you're a renowned legal mind. I know